You have ever thought, how should I start my day? That is probably the first reason why you are going to be broke in wholesaling real estate. I cannot stress this enough. If you get up in the morning and you tell yourself, what should I do today to get a wholesaling deal? You're cooked. You're done. You are pretty much doomed for failure in wholesaling real estate. That is the worst possible thing you could probably say in the morning because you're behind the eight ball. Everybody already knows what they're doing. Everyone that's successful already knows exactly what they need to be doing. And successful wholesalers already know what they need to do. People that are on their way to success know what to do. And if you were just sitting here saying, I wonder what I should do to get a deal, that's why you're failing. I see so many people say, oh, I just can't get ahead, or how can I be successful like these guys? No, the most successful people in wholesaling already know what they got to do and they just execute the plan. If you ever think of your favorite sports team, you think of your favorite, military formations or whatever, right? If you don't have a plan, this is a very famous quote, and I know I didn't invent it, Rick didn't make it, but it's one of my favorite quotes. It's, if you don't have a plan, that in itself is a plan to fail. And everyone loves watching Patrick Mahomes go throw touchdowns all day. And what do you think? He goes behind the scrimmage and say, okay, I'm gonna throw it to whoever I see and just go. No, there's planning, there's routes, there's weeks of preparation. In all this all come together for that one throw to look so easy, so simple, so perfect. All of you LeBron Glazers love worshiping LeBron, but you never look at all the work he does to prepare for the game. Same thing happens in wholesaling real estate. Everyone, sees me make millions of dollars and they're like, oh, that's all great. It's the preparation, the planning that I do to get to that point. And so what I want to talk about specifically today is how you could start planning out pretty much your domination, your world domination plan of wholesaling real estate, so you could actually start having success, start making a ton of money in this business, and start having just really like money coming in consistently, right? And this is not a whole point to you video say you're a loser, you got to work hard, you got to just kill yourself every single day in marketing. That's not what today's video is about either. Today's video is all about going out here and actually just doing the work, but the right way, because 60% of the work in wholesaling is just showing up every day. But if you're showing up every single day and not doing the right stuff, it's not going to work, right? And so we talk so much on this channel and all the other Flip the Rick style channels, anything from me and Rick, that it's all about the right lists, the right channels, the right scripts, but we never talk about what your day should be looking like. And we do talk about in the free course and all this stuff, but not many live streams for this. And I think that's part of the equation that some people are missing for success. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill you pretty hard on what you need to be doing to become successful in wholesaling on a daily schedule, the perfect daily schedule for wholesaling. And I know this, I just want everyone to understand right here, right? And I truly do believe this is super, super, super important, that I believe we have this very toxic culture on YouTube of entrepreneurs. And, I'm just going to call it the guys, not the ladies. There's not many toxic lady entrepreneur people, but I'm not calling anyone out by name. I'm not doing that. But those whole people on the internet that say, oh, you got to get up at 3 a.m. You got to get a workout. You got to be jacked. And if you're not jacked, you're going to be a broke loser. Now, I'm very big into fitness. Obviously, I am world's sexiest wholesaler. Everyone knows this. But let me be honest with you. I know a lot of guys making $5, $6, $7 million a year that are super fat, super out of shape. And so I'm not going to say working out is going to be like, oh, that's going to make like that if you do not work out, you're going to be broke, guys. I do believe everyone should be working out and getting fit and stuff, but just FYI, the whole get up at 3 a.m. workout thing, guys, just shove that off. And this is also very controversial. I am big on working out and stuff. Your number one priority needs to be making money. And I've said this very, very, very clearly. If you're watching this and you're under the age of 25, your number one sole purpose in life, as long as you don't have a wife or kids or anything like that, should be making $1 million. That needs to be your sole purpose in life, because $1 million at 25 years old is the equivalent of 10 million bucks by the age of 50 or 60. The time value of money, if you know how to invest it in rental property, holy moly, you are going to have a lot of success in life. And so what I'm telling you to do, and more specifically, is you need to just solely do work that's going to get you money and income. And there's a good way and a bad way to do this. And so what I want to kind of illustrate here is how you should be spending your time so you could actually start becoming very, very efficient. And so let's talk about exactly why you need to spend your time correctly and how to do it the right way. And so first and foremost, and this is never talked about in wholesaling real estate, but attention is currency. This is probably the most important lesson I can teach you about schedules and stuff like that, is the number one currency that we can make money and have success is attention. Attention is what it's all about. Now, you're going to be hearing people on the internet tell you that, and I'm not calling anyone out, but like you're going to see this from all these Facebook ads and YouTube ads, like, closing is the only thing you need to learn about. Attention, all that stuff sucks. Guys, from my experience and from teaching thousands of people to make millions of dollars in wholesaling, they all became successful by mastering attention, mastering the eyeballs of making people actually go out here and look at your message and what you do. Now, if you can master this art, the closing part's easy because, I mean, you're just, hey, are you looking to sell the house? What price? And you go for the closing thing's pretty stupid. And I'll be honest with you. I can make anyone a decent closer. I can't make anyone decent at attention. And so attention is currency. What another definition is eyeballs equal money. If you can get people their eyeballs on your message, you will always become rich. You will always become successful. You'll always make money in this business. And this is the secret, in 2008, 2009, right? We look at Rick, like he got very, very wealthy in the recession because he was the master of attention, not at closing sellers. And so eyeballs are going to be there. And, everyone talks about dispo being the most important one. I mean, that's a joke. This is the most true statement, but a good deal will always find a good buyer. A good buyer will never find a bad deal. And so you got to know that the buyers are always going to be there. Like you're never really going to struggle on that end. And so I really wouldn't worry when it comes to that. And so eyeballs are money. And why I keep saying that is most of the time we're going to be spending on our schedule is just having people just looking at your message and really just trying to master attention. This is where we're really going to be focusing on here to have success. And so it's what we're going to do. All right. So first and foremost, more eyeballs, more money. We understand that. So that means 80% of our entire time, like our entire chunk, is going to go out here and look for attention. So if you go out here and we kind of look at a chart here of how we should be spending our time, right? If I have a nice little pie chart, how do I make this a little better? There we go. If we have a little pie chart, like I'm going to tell you right now that, 80% of, that was way too thick. There we go. That's a little better. 80% of all of our time that we're going to spend in wholesaling real estate is going to be just trying to get attention. This is just by far, if we're looking at like a little pie chart of where we're spending our time in wholesaling, attention, 80% of our time. And so if we're working 10 hours a day, we are spending 8 hours just on this part. Like this is why it's so important to go out here, because once you get that attention, you're going to start getting wholesaling deals and start getting checks. And so 80% of our time needs to be going out here and finding attention, finding people that actually want to listen to our message, that actually want to receive a cash offer on their property. And so this is how we start our day. And so the thing about it is, right, like this attention part, right, it's about focusing on people that are wanting to sell their house. That is it. Okay. So sometimes we can also focus on people that are really good at getting attention. This is going to be joint venturing or JVing. I know people that run an entire JV operation where literally their sole goal in life is to find people who lock up deals and then they sell those deals to basically cash buyers. So they find wholesalers, they do JVs, and they send to cash buyers. They're just good at finding people who are good at attention. And so this is how we can actually start really getting deals, because marketing is attention. This is where the majority of our daily schedule is. Now, it could be really sexy for me to tell you, just closing and follow up CRM systems and all that. If you're broke, like none of that stuff matters. And if we're not doing at least a deal a month, like nothing else matters. We got to get a deal a month and then we can start going the other fancy, cute stuff. But it's all about eyeballs. It's all about people knowing that you're looking to give them a cash offer. And that is what we're spending most of our time. So remember, 80-20, 80% pretty much marketing and 20% the rest. And so I like to look at it kind of roughly on an 80-10-10 split. So let's kind of break down the perfect wholesaling daily schedule. Again, I'm calling it, wow, I can't draw today. An 80, 10, 10 split. Okay. So marketing is going to be kind of, right here. I would say 10% here is just going to be on follow-up acquisitions. And then 10% is just going to be on dispo and finding cash buyers. So this is where I would say that everyone should be spending their time. So for roughly every 10 hours, 8 hours that's going marketing, 10 on follow-up, and 10 on dispo. This is how we got to do it. And this is just basically how we can do it. So if we are doing, 10 hours, we're going to do 8 for marketing, right? We're going to do 1 for follow-ups and then 1 for dispo. So I really don't care how you schedule it. I mean, if I were you, this is how I would schedule the day. And so let's kind of go over the tale of 3 types of wholesalers. And there's roughly 3 types, right? I would say there is, if we talk about the 3 types of wholesalers I've seen out here, number 1, there is kind of the part-time broke. So you're part-time, you got no money, right? Part-time, $0 budget. Then we have the part-time higher budget, right? You're actually like a good job and you can invest some money in tools, right? You got a job, job. And then you kind of have the full-time wholesaler looking to go all in, right? So how do we define part-time? It's really up to you. I think part-time should be at least 20 hours a week in this business. And I think once you can start doing that, you can actually start having a lot of success on here. So let's kind of see exactly where we're got to be at here. So if I'm looking at a daily schedule, honestly, you're probably going to have to start on, let's try part 1, right? We got no money. We're part-time, so we can put around 20 hours. So if we have 20 hours in the week, I would say a nice breakdown we're going to find on this, right? So if you do an 80% rule, right? So if we're spending 20 hours, we got to put around about, it comes out to around 16. So 16 hours a week should be spent towards any type of marketing, right? So this means if we break it down, how many days a week do we got? I'm assuming 6 days. So if we divide 16 by 6, we got about 2.5 hours per day, part-time on marketing, which I think is plenty to start going out here and getting a deal. So 2.5 hours, I don't think I'm even asking for much here, but if we can hit 2.5 hours a day, we could start having success. Now, this is when I get kind of into the variable part of pretty much any marketing system. So again, I like kind of bringing people on and just kind of getting their individual situations because everybody's situation is a little different. What I would tell you is if I had 2.5 hours, that's all I had during the day, I would most likely spend around 2 hours a day. And this is just not a joke. 2 hours a day. And I would just drive for dollars and reverse drive for dollars. That's just me. I know what's the best return on time, the best return on investment. By far, if I had 2 hours trying for dollars, reverse trying for dollars, and then I would do 30 minutes a day of just calling. And if I look at 30 minutes of calling, that's probably going to be at least 30 calls. If I'm fast and efficient, that's about 30 calls. So if I do 30 calls per day, 30 times 30, that's about 900. You're roughly about 1,000 calls a month. I think that's a pretty good, like, especially as a starter part-time, it's a pretty good dang system. Now, if you're virtually wholesaling, you could probably flip this and do 2 hours of calling and then 30 minutes maybe of SMS. That's kind of how I would kind of look at it. And so if I'm going to go do virtual wholesaling, which will make it red for virtual wholesaling, why not? I would probably just do 2 hours of calling and I would do 30 minutes a day of just SMS. So that should lead you 2 hours, maybe 90 to 100 calls. I mean, I would like to do at least 100 calls a day as a KPI. It's about 3,000 calls a month. I mean, guys, I'm swinging to the fences to get a deal. Like, here's the thing. I'm swinging to get a deal. And if I want the fast, and here's the thing nobody really wants to talk about, right? Everybody looks at wholesaling real estate as this terrible, sucky grind, especially when you have no money. And, we got even people like Brittany says, what if I can't call? Brittany, are you deaf? Are you mute? Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. And I'm like, if you have a disability, like, I can help you out. But like, Brittany, like, my question is, do you legitimately have a disability? And if you don't, that's a slap in the face to everybody that has a disability that physically can't cold call. Like, Brittany, do you have a thick accent? Like, I generally want to know why you can't cold call. And I get people a lot that have this kind of thought. And I'm not calling you out, Brittany. I'm just genuinely curious because I get people that tell me all the time that they can't call, they don't want to call. And my question is, why don't you? And then the answer usually is, well, that's a lot of work. Well, it's a lot of work. I'm like, well, let's compare. Let's compare what is a lot of work. A full-time job, and I said this last Tuesday, but Thursday, a full-time job is way more difficult. So Brittany says, I'm in calls for work. So Brittany, when you get off for work, why don't you call? Unless Brittany, you work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, I'm just being honest. And the reason I'm telling you this, Brittany, is if, we got people in federal prison who can cold call, I don't really see the issue here. I mean, I was spending 8 hours a day talking to people, at the grocery store when I was a bag boy, and I was fine calling after, right? Actually, no, I wasn't calling out. I got after calling. No, I was actually doing bandit signs back then on my first year. I started calling technically I was a bag boy, but it was blurred lines. But no, I mean, if you're doing calls for work, I don't really see the issue calling after work. Here's the thing, Brittany, and here's the thing I'm trying to kind of convey to everybody. It seems like in wholesaling that like you have this like 30-year prison sentence, right? Where it's like, this is like, let's do year 0 to year 5. You feel like the amount of calls you have to make is like constantly going up, and it just sucks and sucks and sucks. When if you look at a timeline of your wholesaling, if you can actually start becoming successful, it is never, ever, ever like this. That's not the truth about cold calling. The truth about cold calling is you make a ton of calls your first year. Then you make about 50 grand, and then you hire cold callers, and then they do basically all the work. So year 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So this is a timeline of the amount of calls that you make. I can't really do on the other end, but your first year, you're making the most calls. But if you can just get like 3 or 4 deals, you can hire VAs, you can hire marketing systems, you can hire people going out here and doing all the work for you. But the coolest part, once you just make like, the main point I'm trying to reach out, and I'm trying to reach this out to Brittany, is I know it seems like you're handcuffed, you're just forced in this cold calling prison, but all I'm asking you to do is just get 2 or 3 deals. That's like 50, 60, 70 grand. Then you go buy X leads, you can hire VAs, you can just have them cold call for you. That is it. All right. It's insane. Absolutely insane. And so if you're struggling out here, and Brittany, I would love to know what your daily schedule looks like. And this is why we individually want to help people out, because I got people that work 2 to 11, and I'm like, okay, well, just cold call in the mornings. And then I got people that say, oh, I work night shifts. I'm like, well, then get up early and do it, right? It's crazy, right? I know Brittany says Florida is late when I get off. So Brittany, let me know the time you work. Like, give me specific time. So if you get off while it's late, I don't know what time late is. I'm assuming if you work, I don't know, 8 to 8, that'd be the most brutal schedule is my guess, 8 to 8. So if you work 8 to 8, then that means you can, at least 8 to 9, you can make some texts, you can do digital bandit signs. And then I'm assuming if you work 8 to 8, that's 12 hours. That's 4 days you work. That means you have 3 days to call, right? Unless you're working 100 hours a week. I mean, so I have to meet metric 120 minutes per day. I have to meet a metric of, can somebody translate this for me? What's meet metric 110, like meet metric 120 minutes a day. I don't know what meet metric is, but I'm literally in the car calling to meet metric for work, taking my kid to tutoring. Brittany, I really don't understand this, because if you're in the car for your kid at tutoring, then you can just call in the car. I need some translation here. Please let me know. But if you work 40 hours a week, I mean, there's plenty of time after a call. And the coolest part is you're calling people and they're not, really working. But the thing is this whole like handcuff to cold calling thing is such a fallacy, because the first year but once you can produce like 50 grand, you put that into marketing systems, that $50,000, and you're never going to call more than like 30 minutes to an hour a day. That's the coolest part about it, is you just got to get to that deal 1 and 2 and 3. And then once you hit deal 3, then you have to pay. And here's the thing, right? I'm known as the guy that will teach you for free. I have all these great marketing systems. The reason why I teach you guys to wholesale for free is because you're broke, right? I want to help anyone that's broke. But once you get that first deal or second deal, you need to put that into systems. That's why I literally made X Leads. So you can go out here and use a triple line dialer. So you can go out and hire VAs. So you can have them do the work for you. And then when they're all calling, then you can go out here and do better income producing activities. But the problem is you're not meant to cold call 6 hours a day for the rest of your life. Now, everyone knows about, I always say this, but I used to cold call 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for a year straight. That was only for a year straight. I was making so much money that I was able to hire VAs after that, so I didn't have to do it. The goal of cold calling is not to always be calling. The point of cold calling is so you can stop cold calling. It is like, trying to get that promotion. You got to do the thing that sucks to get that promotion. But I truly believe a lot of people think it's like, oh, I have to do this forever. It's not. Most of the year, you just got to get some deals. And so the point is, your first deal, make 50, 60 grand. I mean, I want you to make 100 grand, 200 grand, and then you can hire systems to go out here and do it, right? And so the goal here, again, if I can make a little chart, and then we're going to do the whole daily schedule, but you want year one, you want to make like 100 grand your first year. You want to give at least 50 grand back into marketing systems, which I think is going to be really good. And then year two, you have all these marketing systems. You do way more attention with the marketing, right? You get an ROI. Then you start making 250 grand a year. And then by year 3, you're making 350 a year. But here's the thing. Right here, you're working like 80 hours a week. Year 2, you're working 40. Year 3, you're working 20 hours a week. There's a method to my madness when I teach wholesaling real estate, and especially when I teach marketing. I just think so many people think you just have to grind and kill yourself. You kill yourself maybe for like a couple months to a year. But the main goal of this is not to like make your life suffer or make your life like terrible. Like that's not why I teach wholesaling real estate. That's why I don't kind of show this stuff too much. Like some of y'all are really trying to kill yourselves here. It drives me crazy. I am not here to make you like hate your life. I'm just here to show you how to wholesale houses, guys. And so let's go out here and show a daily schedule. The point here is I believe calling is the best one. Most people don't want to call because it's hard work, and literally hard work is the actual reason. And it's a sacrifice for a short term for a long-term gain. And, a lot of young people don't want to deal with it. And so we got to go make out here and make it happen, right? We got literally people from Lesotho, the hardest parts, right? I got people from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I got people in South Sudan cold calling. I got people everywhere around the whole world, right? And you're telling me that wholesaling is tough and terrible for you in America. I don't want to hear it. Like, I don't hear anyone's excuse about how tough in America it is to wholesale real estate. We got people around the world in the worst situations possible. Okay. It's absolutely insane. Okay. So Brittany says, I work remote, but I'm calling patients, but I need to call 120 minutes a day, then charting. But if I don't meet 100, I'm working until 6. So I'm done. I'm working until 6. So why don't you just work till 6 p.m., Brittany? Meet your requirements. Why don't you just work hard, be done by 6, and then you can call from 6 to 8 or call from 8 to 10. I don't really care. But I don't really even understand. I need to call 120 minutes a day, then charting. So just work till 6. If your work's till 6, then work till 6. And 6 to 8, 6 to 9 is a perfect time for cold calling. There we go. Okay, so let's break this down. So if I was Brittany in this situation, let's actually go over her schedule. Again, I'm doing this out of all love and support for everyone, right? And let me know what your schedules are, because I would love to individually tailor it to you, because everybody in wholesaling is so different. That's the thing. Everyone has all these different life, right? We got the 18-year-old kids in high school. We got college kids. We got kids with, we got kids with kids, honestly. We got 19 teenagers with kids, right? We got 40-year-olds who are married with 4 kids. We got pregnant moms. We got single dads. We got all these type of people all over the world, right? So we got all these different schedules, right? But if I'm a 9 to 5 person, which honestly 9 to 5 is like 9 to 6 p.m. Let me make this a little thinner. Let's go over what a 9 to 6 job looks like. And so what I would probably say is you got 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10, and 11. All right. So I'm assuming we want to get some good sleep here. So what I would probably say with everybody's schedule, you get up at like 8 a.m., you go to bed at 11. Honestly, I'd probably go to bed at 11, get up at 7. But like, I mean, everyone's schedule is obviously different. But let's say you work like in a regular American job. Okay. So 8 a.m. till like, let's say 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. Like you're working, let's say 6, you work till like 6. Okay. 8 a.m. to 5 a.m. Let's call 6 is over, right? So obviously I'm just assuming you have a job. You got to prepare for the job, whatever you do, right? So respect the grind. I respect everyone doing that, right? So you're busy most of that day, right? Getting up, all that stuff. Okay. So that means we basically have 3 awesome hours to go cold call. I would spend these 3 hours for basically calling. That's what I would do. If this was my life, this is my schedule, I spend at least 3 hours of that time cold calling. The reason I do that is the weekends is for drawing for dollars. That's where I'd be really grinding the drawing for dollars. I really wouldn't even be doing it here. People call you back. I mean, I would probably, if you have a lunch break right here, if I have a lunch break, I would be doing my follow-ups. I'd be calling my leads from 12 to 1. That's what I'd be doing if you can do it. Now, I'm going to give you another controversial statement, and I'm just going to tell you how I live my life. You can live your life a little differently. I'm not a medical person at all, so don't tell me, like, I'm not going to get into this whole foo-foo medical stuff. But I'll be honest with you. I learned pretty dang quick with my schedule how busy I was. And I was having a situation where I had too many leads when I was like 18, 19 years old. And so I chose, sometimes I'd leave the house at like 7 a.m. and I'd come home at 6 p.m. and all I did was appointments for the day. And I found out that some appointments ran a little longer. And my number one priority was making money. So I just skipped eating lunch. Now I know this sounds crazy and people are going to like lambaste me in the comments here. But if you're a guy and you're relatively want to be healthy, I think intermittent fasting is a very powerful idea. And the reason I say that is not for health, but for money-making purposes. I found out if I just skipped lunch and I just kept working through the time, I never got like, I'm crazy. I'm the type of guy who just work through everything. Like I don't get tired or hungry. Intermittent fasting, your body gets used to it pretty quick. If you're a guy, I think with women, I've talked to some medical people. With women, it messes up your hormones or something. So I probably wouldn't do it if you're a gal. But if you're a guy, like I would really, really consider looking into intermittent fasting. You won't die. Your brain's pretty dang clear and you get an extra hour. And so that means if you're a guy, you do intermittent fasting. I used to do this when I worked at a grocery store. I would just, my lunch break, I wouldn't even eat, right? I would get some water and I would just follow up in the car. And this was one of the best things I could possibly do. Now, I've been intermittent fasting for a long time. The reason why I learned to do that was because I'd rather sleep and nap than eat because I just eat dinner, like one big dinner, right? So I would just go out here and sleep. That's what I'd be. Okay. So I'd spend at least an hour following up. Now you can go snack on something. I mean, if you're a lunch guy, take 20 minutes to eat a lunch. Just have it all prepared the night before. Just go, blah, 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 eat it, and then go call your leads. It's really depending if you want to do it. Just like grab something to eat real quick and go crazy, guys. Don't go do a crazy lunch. But what you need to be doing here is at least an hour if you have a 9-to-5 job. Spend that on the follow-ups. Okay. That's how you do it. It's absolutely insane to me to go out here and find people that like, oh my gosh, right? How do I go out here and have success? I'd spend at least 3 hours cold calling, right? So if you can go 7 to 9, that'd be great. But you calling 7, 8, 1, 2. So that's about 2 hours. You can extend it to 10 if you want. You can cold call 12 to 1 too. It really depends. But from 7 to 9, this would be my calling hours. And then from here, I would spend this hour networking. And then I'd spend like 11 to 10 networking. And then pretty much 11 to like 11:30. It really depends. I would just prep for the day again, have everything prepared, get ready to go. And that's why I'd be working 9 to 5. The reason is you get your calls in, you get your networking in. I mean, I would probably even try to scratch networking if you can. Maybe if you want to skip trace. If you have no money, you got to put True People Search time in there. Get some phone numbers, just going out here and getting it. That's probably be doing. And then once I have the weekend prepared, this is when I'm really grinding it out, right? I mean, I would say like Friday evening, right? I would just be staying up late and I would be skip tracing on True People Search. I go to truepeoplesearch.com, get your phone numbers, and then really from, I hate to say it, but like I probably say 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. I would drive for dollars and I would reverse drive for dollars. I know that sounds crazy, dude, but like if you're broke, you got not much money, it's going to be hands down the only thing that's going to keep your mental sanity. And the reason I say that is I love cold calling, but cold calling every day, day after day after day, it takes a toll on you sometimes. And it's a toll that's worth it, but it is just a little more relaxing. Just put some headphones in and just go out here and drive for dollars, reverse drive for dollars. Like your life is a lot easier and way more simple doing that. And so that's probably what I do. You get a deal way faster. And then I would probably take about 4 to 7. I know that sounds nuts, but I would actually do some more calling here. And that's how I'd end the day. And maybe like 7 to like 9, I would do a little bit of networking here and there. There's a lot of chats we have on Saturdays. I would network and I'd repeat the same thing probably on Sunday. So I do Saturday and Sunday doing that. That is going to be there we go. That is by far going to be the best schedule for a 9 to 5 job. Now, if you're somebody who has a part-time job and you had some money, what I would probably do is let's do this 8. Honestly, we can make this pretty simple. I would do 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. is like your 9 to 5 job, right? So like your job, I'd do about 12 to 1 p.m. on your lunch break. That would be your follow-ups. Again, 1 to 5 p.m. I would say you go out here and you got your job. And then really, honestly, from 5 to I do about 5 to 9 p.m. I would probably go out here and do SMS blasting. Plus, I would cold call on a triple line dialer. That's going to be your best thing to do. So I would definitely, obviously, I'd go out here and obviously there's no surprise here. I tell you, just go to X Leads because we got pretty much everything for like $97 a month for now. Who knows where it's going to be at? But I'll go to X Leads, just pull that, get the list. I'll get the skip tracing, I'll get the dialing, and I'd start using our SMS system. Now, it really depends on your budget, but if you sent about 10,000 texts this month, which I think is not terrible, that'll be about $87. So you'll probably, with the system, be around $200 a month, which I don't think is too crazy. But to send 10,000 texts, cold call and triple line dialer, I don't think it's a bad idea. And you're not going to struggle with this, right? And so many wholesalers, they struggle so hard on this. It's really not that difficult. Like I would just text blast like crazy, and I'd probably call until about 9 p.m. That's when TCPA law kind of goes into effect. But to a point, is wholesaling part of TCPA? Again, no, but I still don't want to get in the holy galleries of that. But 5 to 9, SMS and triple line dialer. Now, I'd be doing that all day, every day, and then I'd drive for dollars on the weekends. That would be like my full-time job, like wholesaling schedule. I'd definitely get X Leads for that, and you go from there. Now, the real question here is, what do you do on a full-time schedule? Now, a full-time schedule is just way easier. Like, I've said this before, and I will continue to keep saying this until people just start getting absolutely like angry with me. And I always love saying that, but like a full-time wholesaling job is so much easier than any regular job out here. Calling like people, customer service, like that, those are tough, difficult jobs. A wholesaling job is way easier. It's like you're getting up basically doing nothing. That's the way I look at it. So let's look at a wholesaling job. If you work a job in wholesaling, this one's even easier. Okay, we could start working at 7, honestly. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. So I would say 7 to 9 a.m. This is great for drawing for dollars. Again, most leads aren't ready to be called by 7 to 9. The sun's usually up by 7. So go out here, drive for dollars, reverse drive for dollars. I'd start the day off by doing that, putting those sticky notes out, getting going. 10 to 12, I would be actually doing some dispo. I'd actually be trying to find cash buyers. Again, morning's not the best time to go cold call and market. And then 12 to 2, I'd be doing my lead follow-ups. And then 2 to 7, this would be my calls, my calling, and SMS blasting time with the leads. And then really, like, you can kind of extend this another couple hours, but you don't really need to. I mean, you go 7 to 9, you can just probably follow up with some more leads. It's a little late. So, I mean, you can just probably just eat. I mean, just go eat some dinner. I mean, you're getting so much work done. Like, what's the point? It's so funny to me. But like, yeah, that's how I'd be really, it's just not that complicated. And then I would do like 9 to 10. I would just network with people inside of ZachDiscord.com and freewholesale.com. And that's just the perfect full-time wholesaling, especially when you're going solo. And you could just repeat this whole schedule until you're making about 300 grand a year. It's really not that hard. And when I say follow-up, that can also be your appointments if you physically going on appointments to see like sellers or walkthroughs for cash buyers. But this is really not a complicated process. Like, you market, you try to find some cash buyers, you follow up, you get your leads, you close sellers, you eat, you network, you repeat from there. When you network, you get JV deals. So that's another awesome thing you can be doing. But you just go back and forth here, you're going to do a lot better. Now, part of this whole schedule, again, 2 to 7 p.m. by far, if you're looking for cold calling times, the golden hours are 2 to 7, and then 5 to 7 is like the best time. Like, that's the best time to call. This is just general. Like, if you can generally like have some hours for calling, 2 to 7 is the best. But 5 to 7 is where you're gonna have the best response rates, answer rates, stuff like that. I would do some drips inside of Ninja mode. That's just where I prefer, because you can just pull it inside of XLeads Ninja mode and just start blasting out SMS messages. That's really, really awesome. I think most wholesalers, that's what they love doing, because all they have to do is just click a button and it'll send thousands out compliantly, legally, which is really awesome. And that's how I'd start wholesaling. I mean, I wish I could complicate this. I wish I could tell you there's these crazy systems out here, but you just got to spend most of your time finding attention and getting people who want to sell the property. Put them in the Ninja Mode CRM, and then just keep hammering them follow-ups, and you're going to start getting some wholesale deals. It's really simple. Like, this business, it gets easier and easier every year, because the follow-ups, the systems, the software get better. But this method would have worked 3 years ago, 4 years, 5 years. Like, you're just spending every waking possible moment trying to find motivated sellers. Now, what type of list? Again, government lists are obviously going to be my favorite. I'm a massive, massive fan of digital bandit signs, email offer generating system, right? So you can do that like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. I mean, if you can find the time, I would highly recommend this too. But let's see. I'd probably go out here and, what is it, 9 p.m. right now? I mean, at 9 p.m., you can just do the EOG system at night, and then digital bandit signs. These can be like your night owl activities. There you go, your night owl activities. And you'll be good. I mean, if you're an early bird, you can go out here and do it in the morning, right? Really depends on what you want to do. But just to understand that, I always say cold call by day, email blast, and digital bandit signs by night. And that's the real secret to start getting wholesaling real estate deals and the schedule for success.